Welcome to the Teresa Harding podcast, where you will learn from one of the top leaders in the network marketing industry. Teresa Harding has grown her team to over millions of people. She's grown online and she's grown offline, and now she's ready to show you the secrets. So get ready to change the way you think. She truly cares about the success of her team and the people that she teaches. So get ready to learn the tips, tricks, and secrets that will allow you to grow a successful business in the 21st century.
I'm Teresa Harding, and this is the Teresa Harding Podcast. This podcast is for people who know that this industry is not about the network marketer anymore. It's about the people we serve and the change we can make in other people's lives. It's about the entrepreneur inside of each of us who's trying to find our voice. It's for the people who want to change the world and are looking for the most powerful way to make that happen. Because there was something that happened in our story that gave us an epiphany, that made us go, oh my goodness. But then when we tell other people, we don't use the epiphany. We don't help them have their own epiphany. We start telling them something else, and I'll show you what that looks like. But first, I want to give you an example of how this works. So let's pretend like I'm sharing, like I'm trying to sell or offer for free or whatever, an info product that is all about that's all about personal development, all about taking charge of your life and getting over your limiting beliefs or whatever it is, okay? That's what I'm selling. Now, the story that I'm going to tell you goes like this. I'm going to tell you this story, then I'm going to lay it out for you exactly how I did that, and then I'm going to give you another example of a story so you can see what it looks like in the story, okay? So, and this is a true story. When I was in junior high and high school, I was not popular. In fact, I was the opposite of popular. I was one of the kids that nobody really wanted to talk to. And so when I was in junior high, I can remember I was having a birthday party. And you know when you're little, you have a birthday party, everybody comes to everything. It was getting to that stage where I was getting older. Honestly, all I really cared about was being popular, because that's what I saw, that's what I knew. I didn't get it beyond that. And I would see the kids that seemed so popular, and I just wanted to be popular. But I was exact opposite of that. And I can remember it was my birthday, and I think I was in maybe the 7th or the 8th grade, and I invited every single popular kid to my birthday party because I didn't have any other friends. So I didn't. It's not like there was someone else I could invite. So I invited all the people that I wished that I was in their friend group. And I gave all the invitations out at school, so I know they got them. And then as the few days went by, one by one, every single one of them told me that they couldn't come. So not a single person came to my birthday party. And that was powerful for me, because I remember pouting and being so bummed about that and feeling like life wasn't fair. And obviously that was a really, really hard thing for me. And through this pouting phase, I can remember watching my older siblings, because there were 13 of us in our family. And so my older brothers and sisters, they were the coolest kids in school. People loved them. And I remember watching them, and I started to notice, and I thought, everybody always likes them. And before, I had been looking at it like, what's in it for me? But all of a sudden, somehow, I remember watching my sister Jolene, and she just loved everyone. She was always so positive, so happy. Everyone considered her super popular, but she wasn't really necessarily in the popular group. Those were all her friends. But all the what we called the gangbangers back then, they were totally all her friends. Didn't matter what country people were from, the people who were the Hispanics who hung out together, they were her friends. Everybody loved Jolene. And I remember watching her interact with these people. And I even remember that in high school, you know how they vote for who's going to be homecoming queen and homecoming king and that kind of thing. Well, at our school, they had homecoming, but they also had another one that was called May Day. And in our town, May Day was huge. May Day was bigger than homecoming. And there was a May queen and a May king. And it was a big deal. And if you had been nominated to be a princess or a prince before you were a senior, because only seniors could be the king or queen. But if you had already been nominated to be a princess, then you couldn't do it again until your senior year. Then you could be nominated to be queen. And the nomination was by your entire student body, everybody. And so I remember her senior year watching this happen. And it was homecoming. And homecoming, she wasn't nominated. She was nominated, but she didn't get homecoming queen. And the thing that shocked me was, I could not tell you how many kids in school came up to her, guys and girls, who said, I didn't vote for you for homecoming because I want you to be May Queen. They said this to her. Tons of kids. And so I remember watching that and torn between the selfish side of, I want people to think that about me, to the powerful feeling that I had inside about, wow, look at how people think of her. And as I watched, I remember noticing how she treated everybody. And I remember I had an epiphany at that time, and it was powerful for me. And my epiphany was this: I want to be like her. I want to make people feel the way she makes people feel. I want to help people the way she does. And I don't know, I'm so grateful. I don't know what changed it from the selfish side to, I want to be that person who is that good to other people. And my sister did become May Queen that year, and everybody absolutely loved her. And I remember changing that day, and it was so powerful for me. I didn't even realize outwardly how much I was changing. To me, something happened in my heart, in my head, and that is all I cared about. But I remember later, probably, I don't remember how much later, it seemed like about a year later, that my mom was talking to me about it, and she said, we were talking about that, and I was talking about the change and why that happened and what was different for me. And she said, I remember that. And she said, I remember the day that happened, because your room used to be a wreck. I was a slob. I was a teenager. Left everything laying everywhere. It was a wreck. And my other sister who I had to share a room with, we shared a room together, and she used to get so mad at me, and she would have a line down the middle of the room because she kept her side clean and mine was a total pigsty. And so I didn't even realize that I started being clean that day. I don't even remember that. But my mom said to me, she said, that I remember that day. You changed and you were different. You acted different. You quit pouting about stuff. She said you kept your room clean from then on. I don't even remember that I stopped pouting. I didn't remember that I pouted all the time. I didn't know all those things. But when I had an epiphany, something changed for me. And I was different after that. And she said, your room was immaculate. You were different at school. Your attitude was positive. It was different. And you know what? It's because I decided to care more about other people than I cared about me. And you want to know what's interesting? I didn't care about trying to be popular anymore. I didn't care about any of that stuff. And I don't consider myself, oh, you were one of the popular kids. But you know what? I do remember. They were my friends. They were totally my friends. But guess what? The kids from... the kids that were Hispanic, they had nicknames for me because I was, they accepted me as part of their group. It didn't matter where I went in school. All the kids were my friends, and I loved them. And you know what? I was nominated, and I get emotional not because I'm so proud that I was nominated. It's because I know why I was. But I was nominated to be May Princess. And then I became the May Queen my senior year. And I know that's why. It's because I had an epiphany. I wanted to be different. So can you imagine, now it's hard to get out of that emotional place, but can you imagine sharing that story if I'm selling something about how to change and how to become better, how to get out of your limiting beliefs and become something better than you thought you could be? If I share that story, all of a sudden, the rest of it changes. And people are going, wow, I can learn from this person. This person can help me. And that's what the story is all about. So I'm going to show you how the story works. And I'm going to show you how to start creating your own story. all right? Because what happens is we don't want to get vulnerable. And in fact, what happened was I thought I was pretty good at telling my story before I started learning what I'm about to show you. But the reality is I wasn't as good as I thought I was because I was afraid to be vulnerable in my social media. Even when I got to a point where I was posting every day and sharing what seemed like vulnerable things, I would share vulnerable things up to a point, but then keep the most vulnerable stuff and not share that because it's hard. It's hard to do. But let me show you what happens, Kate.